You guys ever wonder why some traders are profitable trading trend lines while some are not? The main difference is actually how do you utilize them, how do you draw them accurately to apply in your trading system. Hi guys, my name is Valen. I've been trading for 2 years and I had multiple 6-figure months like this, and this. I'm here to share with you valuable insights that help elevate my trading so you can approach the market the same way. So in this trendline video, I'm going to explain to you what is trendline and why do they work, how to draw them accurately, and how to actually build a strategy around trend lines. Then I'm going to show you real examples, live trades with real market data that I've taken myself, so you can better understand that how did I actually use this and execute in live markets. So what is trendline? Trendline is the foundation of technical analysis and it shows you where the market structure is currently going. So what the trendline shows you is basically a market structure going up or the market structure going down. Trendline doesn't just show you the direction of where the market is going, it also shows you the speed of how fast it's actually going by looking at the slope. So there's only two types of trend lines, a bullish trend line connecting higher highs and higher lows, and a bearish trend line connecting lower highs and lower lows. So before we jump into trend lines, I'm going to talk about one of the charting tools that I use. It's actually TradingView, because I think that TradingView provides one of the most aesthetic and visually pleasing trend lines that we can easily use in today's trading scene. So before we go to the nitty-gritty of trend lines, let's talk about time frames. Personally, I only use 2 time frames to actually draw the trend line. You can see I use the daily time frame to determine the trend, and I use the 1-hour time frame for trade entry. So what we want to do is that we want to go to this column on the left. If you click open it, you'll see this trend line option right here. So what you want to do is that you want to connect point A, which is the first swing high, to point B, the second swing high. So you double click this trend line over here and you saw this extend function, click the drop down and actually click extend the right line. What this will do is actually extend the entire trend line all the way to the right so you don't have to draw it manually. So we've drawn an upper trend line that connects the swing high. The second thing we want to do is to connect the swing low as well. So point A to point B. So just by looking at the daily time frame, we can already know that this is actually a bullish uptrend. So what we want to do right now is to drop down to the 1-hour time frame, which has much more candlesticks and details as you can see. But the overall trend is still the same, which is an uptrend. So now what we want to do is to go to the 1-hour time frame and draw a downtrend line in the bullish uptrend. Let me show you what I mean. So you can see that we have a swing high right here, and then we have a swing low right here. So what I want to do, I want to connect point A to point B right here. So same thing, I want to open this up and I go to style. I want to extend the right line all the way. So you can see that we draw a downtrend line in a bullish uptrend, and one of the reasons for that is because we want to see at this point of breakout from this downtrend line, that will actually be our entry point. And one of the reasons for that is because we want to capture the entire move right here all the way to the upside, because we know on the higher time frame we're actually in a bullish uptrend. So we want to capitalize for the entire trend by drawing a downtrend line in the 1-hour time frame. So right now we're actually on QS. So what we want to do right now is actually go to the daily time frame. As you can see, we are on the daily time frame because we want to determine where the overall trend is. So what we want to do right now is to connect point A to point B for the recent 2 swing highs. So we can see that the very obvious swing high right here. So we want to connect it to the last swing high, which is right here. So now we have our upper trend line. So we want to connect the lower trend line as well. So what we want to do is that we want to connect point A to point B right here. So one of the important things I want you guys to understand is that I want you to draw trend lines that cover both body and the wicks, because the wicks are a sign of rejection and you want to cover everything including the rejection as well, because that will actually give us a very solid trend line and we know where the rejection points are. So just by drawing these 2 trend lines, we can see that we are actually in a bullish trend. So what we actually want to do next is actually go to the hourly time frame. You can see 1 hour. I'm going to click on that. And right now we are on the 1-hour time frame. So I'm just going to pop open one of the indicators that I'm using right here. You can see once I open that up, it will actually give me the EMA 20. As you can see, this aqua line right here. So what I want to do, I want to go to this trend line option right here. I want to connect the 2 swing highs together from point A all the way down to point B. I'm going to change the color to red so you guys can better understand that this red trend line is actually the hourly time frame. So you can see that I've marked this trend line as the 1-hour trend line so you guys can better understand and not get confused. So after we draw the 1-hour trend line, what we want to do is just wait for price to actually break this trend line, and then we will see whether we have a valid entry. So you can see that price actually broke out from our 1-hour trend line while holding support of our blue daily time frame trend line. And if you check our indicator, you can see that the relative strength is strong compared to the SPY. And you can see that the relative volume is actually exceptional because the breakout volume is actually 4.48 times the average. There's a partial volume contraction and the breakout quality is actually strong, more than 80% being a body candle. So what we want to do is actually enter a trade right here, risking $5,000 in order to make $10,000, and let's see what plays out. So you can see that the price action actually respected the blue upwards trend line. Right here it touched support, and the second support is actually right here. So it did not go anywhere below our daily time frame trend line. That's how powerful trend line actually is. And just by trading alongside with the major trend, you can see that the price eventually went to our take profit levels and allow us to make $9,000 to $10,000. So if I pop to my TradeZilla, you can see that I've made $9,200 from this QS trade. And if I click execution, you can see that I've entered a trade on the 1st of October and I exited a trade on the 15th of October, making $9,200. And if we were to dissect what actually happened, you can see that I entered the trade right here upon breakout, and then I held the trade all the way towards the upper trend line. Because if the trade actually comes to our upper trend line, we might actually have some sort of resistance. That's why I took profits right here. And true enough, it actually went all the way down. So you guys can actually see how powerful the trend line actually is. So another example I want to show you is actually Starbucks. So what we want to do, the same thing, we want to go to the daily time frame to determine where the overall trend is going. So right now I pop into the daily time frame, you can see. So now I'm actually on the daily time frame. What I want to do is actually to go to the trend line button right here and connect point A for the recent swing high to point B. So point B will be this one as well. So just another reminder that you want to cover all the wicks and not just the body. And the reason I'm not drawing the trend line like this, it's also because the trend line actually went over all the body and the wicks of different candles. So this is actually not a valid trend line. What you want to do instead is actually draw a trend line like this just to determine the trend, covering all the wicks and the bodies. So since now we have the upper trend line, what we want to do right now is actually to draw the lower trend line. So same thing, we want to draw from point A all the way to point B right here. You can see that both of the trend lines are actually sloping downwards, suggesting that this is actually a bearish trend. So the second thing is that we want to find a valid entry. So what we want to do is actually hop onto the 1 hour time frame right here. So right now we are in a 1 hour time frame. What we want to do is same thing, to go to our trend line option, and then we want to connect point A to point B right here, covering all the wicks and the body. So I'm going to open up my indicator showing me all the necessary information I need for a trade entry. So all we have to do right now is just wait for the price to actually break out from our 1 hour trend line. So you can see that the price actually broke out from our 1 hour trend line, and we want to check out what are the characteristics of it. So you can see that the relative strength for Starbucks is actually much weaker than SPY. So if you're taking a short position, what you want to do is that you want to have a weak relative strength because it suggests that the price will go even lower. And if we want to check the breakout volume, you can see that the volume is actually 3.4 times more than the average volume, which is exceptional, suggesting that this breakout, there's a lot of sellers trying to push the price all the way down. And if we check the volume contraction, there's only a partial dry up. It's not the best, but it works as well. And in terms of the breakout candle quality, you can see that 93% of the candle itself is a body, which suggests that there's a very strong momentum. So you can see that we want to enter a short position right here, but we don't want our target to go all the way below the bottom trend line. And the reason for that is because we talked about bottom trend line actually can serve as a support. That's why we want to take profits anywhere within the trend line will be a good take profit point. So we want our profit levels to be around 1 to 2 risk to reward, which is around this level right here. And we are risking $5,000 in order to make $10,000, and let's see how the trade actually plays out. And just like that, you can see that price went all the way straight to our take profit levels, allowing us to make $10,000 from just this trade alone. True enough, you can see that the price actually bounced from this point right here. And one of the reasons for that is because this trend line, as I said, served as a support. And that is also why we want to take profits within the trend lines. So again, if I hop to my trading view, you can see that Starbucks is one of the trades I've taken live as well. If I go to execution, you can see exactly when did I take the trade, which is on the 6th of October, and I exited the trade on the 10th of October as well. So I've made $10,000 on this simple trade. And if you look at this trade recap right here, I've taken a short position right here, like what I just showed you, and I took profits at this level right before the bottom trend line actually hits. And the reason for that is also because we don't want to take anywhere near this trend line right here, because this trend line will be serving as a support. And that is also why I set my take profit levels somewhere around here, which is a 1 to 2 risk to reward. And I'm very happy to make $10,000 in just 6 days. So guys, you guys can see that trend line is not as complicated as you think. And the best way to actually trade is actually to simplify everything in trading. I just use 2 trend lines and 1 indicator for all my trade setups, and I'm able to make multiple 6 figures. If you guys are interested to know more about my strategy, you can click the box here and it'll lead you to my free strategy video. Make sure to follow my Instagram and my Telegram as well, because I do live callouts in those 2 platforms. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.